Let's move on now to our next keynote presentation. We're joined by Susanna Hasenoehrl, Head of Sustainability Solutions Business for Asia, Pacific and Japan at SAP. Our subject is sustainable and responsible business. Hi Susanna, hope you're well. The virtual floor is yours.
Hello Neil, and thanks so much for the warm welcome. Indeed, responsible and sustainable business. How to make that happen? That is the question. And the aspect I'd like to discuss today is technology. As you would have noticed, we're in the middle of one of the most significant technology disruptions brought about by artificial intelligence, and especially in the form of generative AI. And the question is, what is the role of AI in helping enterprises to become more responsible, sustainable, and perhaps even more intelligent? But first, let's have a look at some of the major sustainability challenges we are facing. If you look around you, into the waters, for instance, what you'll probably see is lots of microplastics, plastic waste, pollution, to the point that each of us ingests about 5 grams of plastics every week. It corresponds to the size or weight of a credit card. So don't just throw waste away. Beyond that, the humanity still keeps emitting way too much greenhouse gas emissions, over 50 gigatons a year. And beyond that, let's face it, the biodiversity is at risk. And here in Asia Pacific and Japan, more than 45% of the mammals and reptiles have already been lost. At the same time, we know that the global GDP depends on nature very much. So in average, 55% of the global GDP is dependent on ecosystem services and on nature in a directly dependent or intermediately dependent way. But here in Asia, the dependency in many countries is actually much higher. If we look at Indonesia, 77% of the GDP depends on nature. And in China, that dependency is 58%. So if we are to reduce the environmental impact of enterprises or to create better social outcomes, we must really look into the different enterprise functions, because sustainability happens everywhere. Whether it's a question of procuring more sustainable goods or maintaining better hiring practices, sustainability is a question of operating in a sustainable manner. Boston Consulting Group has also calculated that with the usage of AI, it could be possible to reduce global greenhouse gas emissions between 5 to 10%. Another group estimates that up to 900 kilotons of grocery waste could be avoided by using AI. But what do sustainability practitioners say about this topic? More than half of the sustainability practitioners that KPMG recently surveyed say that improving data analysis and consolidating data will be the key activities that they will be pursuing with the help of AI in the next years. And why are they saying this? But we need to look at the readiness and IT capabilities of enterprises here in APAC in particular to understand this. So when I talk to sustainability practitioners in the region, I hear them talk about 3 major problem areas, which are data, processes, and also deriving insights based on this. One big challenge for many sustainability teams is that the data that they have at their disposal is very fragmented and siloed and can be found in many different places in many different formats. And this is particularly true when it comes to the so-called Scope 3 value chain emissions. When it comes to sustainability processes, these are often run in very manual ways and depend on few experienced practitioners. But it could also be that in the market or city where you're operating, maybe such experts are not available or not enough of them. And running sustainability processes, whether it's conducting an impact assessment or materiality assessment, is also very time-consuming. And when these scarce resources need to do it in bulk, it's also prone to errors. And when it comes to insights, because of these challenges, it can be very difficult to arrive at the right conclusions and to try the right actions. So, can AI help with this? I'd like to give you some examples that illustrate this matter. A major challenge for many sustainability departments and leaders is the generation of the annual ESG or sustainability report. Often we hear teams spending months and months just trying to gather the data and put the report together. Fortunately, generative AI can help with this. So let's have a look at this short video clip that shows what happens with the AI services in this context. So instead of toiling months over an ESG report, as you could see, it can be accomplished, at least in the draft quality, within just a few minutes. But that's not the only challenge that sustainability departments are facing. You would have heard about Scope 3 by far, so the emissions that come from the value chain and are more indirect in nature for most companies. So if you look at this chart, we really see that for most companies, in most industries, Scope 3 makes up the most of the total enterprise emissions. And of course, Scope 3.1, which stands for purchased goods and services, plays a major role in the Scope 3. But determining or identifying or finding out the carbon emission values for all the purchased goods and services can be a daunting task. Larger enterprises buy thousands and thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of materials and SKUs from a variety of suppliers. So how can you quickly and efficiently determine the right emission factors for those goods, especially if your suppliers are not in a position to give you those? Let's have a look at this another video. So as you could see in this video, AI can make use of the procurement data or the data about the used goods and services in your ERP system, and then look out for the right emission factors in an LCA or life cycle analysis database of your choice. And this really is a big help for sustainability departments who would otherwise need to spend hours and hours, or maybe even days and weeks, looking for the right information. And it also alleviates the fact that you don't necessarily need to be an expert to try to find the right emission factors for the right goods and services. Another trend we observe is that more and more companies are procuring goods with sustainability certificates. So it's no longer enough just to do disclosures at corporate level. More and more buyers want to have sustainability disclosures at product and material level, and even with certificates. Some of the drivers for this trend are, for instance, European Union's regulations, as well as the hopefully upcoming United States Plastic Treaty, as well as voluntary certificates, such as those provided by ISCC. But again, the challenge is, if you're having lots of deliveries coming in with lots of certificates, how do you actually validate all those certificates? It can, again, take a lot of time and effort. So we provide yet another AI service currently in a beta modus to address this kind of use case that brings a lot of efficiency into the certificate management and validation on the buyer side. Another very effective AI service example that I'd like to cover is in the context of recruitment. Let's face it, we all have biases. And if those creep into recruitment methods, job descriptions, that can lead to quite some unwanted effects in an organization. So how to counter that? As part of SAP SuccessFactors services, it's now possible to use AI services to kind of help you to write job descriptions in ways that avoid bias and which appear more inclusive for the candidates. Again, let's have a look at this short video that shows how it works. So this example showed you how business AI services can bring in a lot of operational efficiency for sustainability departments and also to the recruitment process. So in summary, I've shown you how ESG reported with AI can be reported in traffic quality in a matter of minutes. I've also shown you how emission factors can be identified with the help of AI. Again, very quickly, very efficiently across thousands and thousands of products and services that the organization is procuring. And most importantly, we can reduce bias and create more inclusive job descriptions with the help of AI. And the greatest thing is that all these services are already readily available. But when we think about AI and AI services, it is of paramount importance to acknowledge that AI is only as good as the data that fuels it. And in this context of ESG services, sustainability services, we have to think about three categories of data. For one, there's plenty of ERP and business data available. There's also third-party data available around ecosystems, certifications, and so on. So we must ascertain that this data is of good quality so that then on top of it, we can run sustainability-specific applications also in an equally reliable and relevant way. Beyond these enterprise AI applications that are already available and which I talked about, what more could AI potentially do for sustainability? Well, one area is energy management. As we move into more renewable energy production and the increased use of batteries, AI is already helping to manage energy supply and demand in much smarter ways. And let's remember that also EVs with bidirectional charging and smart home appliances should be considered as part of the distributed energy resources. And we just need to get so much better at managing all that. Beyond that even though, I think healthcare offers many great opportunities to make use of AI. And I'd like to show you one collaboration that SAP has contributed to. Let's roll the video.
We have 3.5 million babies born premature every year.
In 2020, 13% of babies born in India were born prematurely. India consistently has the highest number of preterm births in the world. Being born premature raises the risks of a variety of medical complications, including vision impairment.
About 25 to 40% of these babies have a risk of developing retinopathy of prematurity or ROP.
The symptoms are hard to notice at first, and if not treated early, ROP can leave children in a lifetime of darkness.
It's the leading cause of infant blindness in the world, but more importantly, it is the leading cause of preventable blindness in the world.
That leaves parents searching for answers.
My father used to be blind. When my baby was born, my neighbors told me I should go to the hospital to check my baby, to make sure it is not blind.
Narayana Netralaya Eye Institute, SAP, and Clear Vision collaborated on an AI program to automate the pre-screening of ROP in premature babies.
I believe we've close to 250,000 exams and we've treated more than 4,000 babies, majority of whom come from the rural outreach.
So many exams and so little time to screen and analyze all eye images can easily overwhelm hospital systems.
Now you have plenty of images and no one to read these images. And I think that's where machine learning and artificial intelligence is going to help us and is going to show us the way. And that's why we're so excited about our collaboration with SAP.
We want everyone to know that there is a way to treat this condition. Not just our community, but every mother and father of a premature baby should know about this and also other conditions.
Wasn't that touching? I'm so glad that more babies can now benefit from higher quality health services and avoid blindness. Now, earlier, I already talked a little bit about the importance of having relevant and reliable data for AI use cases. But let's zoom into a slightly different topic, which is the responsible development and usage of AI. What do we mean with that? Firstly, it is of paramount importance that AI development and usage does come with human agency and oversight. We can't have AI running rampant. Secondly, it's critical that AI development and uses addresses bias and avoids it because we don't want it to become systemic. Thirdly, AI should not be a black box, and it's important that the logic and the recommendations can be explained. Furthermore, it's also of critical importance that there is proper governance structure around AI development. And I'll be looking into some of those details here, especially from the perspective of how we ensure that AI delivers something that is sustainable and something that does not cause harm. This is essentially a question of running a solid process. At SAP, before we even start an AI development project, it needs to go through a rigorous vetting process. So the project team or the developer needs to firstly answer three major questions. Does the project have the potential to harm environment, the society, or would it limit individuals' personal freedom? If the answer is yes, the project must be stopped immediately. If the answer is no, there is still a range of qualifying questions, which will then determine whether the development case will be classified as a high-risk case or as a standard case. And this can very much seen as a best practice in the industry, to the point that out of 200 major software companies in the world, SAP is one of the 6 companies that are meeting all the quality indicators set out by the World Benchmarking Alliance. If you'd like to learn more about these things, please do scan these QR codes and learn more about our policies regarding the safe usage and responsible usage of AI. In conclusion, at the beginning of my talk, I raised the question whether AI can actually contribute to a more sustainable and to a more responsible world and enterprise operations. I think we've seen that there are many applications available already today that can lead to much more higher efficiency for the sustainability departments and even for the HR department as well. When it comes to the usage of AI, though, we absolutely must ensure that the right guardrails are in place to govern both the development as well as the usage of AI. And I've shown you examples of how that can be done. So in short, I think that AI holds great promise to increasing enterprise sustainability, but it has to be done in a right way. And with that, I'd like to hand back to Neil and just to check, do we have any questions from the audience?
Thank you so much, Susanna. We're rapidly running out of time, so just one key question from me. At these events, as I've mentioned previously, I'm always hearing about the difficulty that businesses have in getting the right data out of SMEs within their partnerships. So for you, how can this kind of solution help in that area?
That's a great question, Neil, and I get that a lot as well. So if we look at the entirety of potential AI solutions for enterprises, I cannot underscore enough the importance of digital transformation. Because if your processes aren't digitalized, if your data isn't digitalized, well, there's not so much you can do actually with AI. Garbage in, garbage out, right? So we absolutely must ascertain that we have high enough quality data from the enterprise operations, as well as in terms of the sustainability metrics. And I'd like to share a little example about this. In Japan, one of our customers, Matsumoto Precision, was actually struggling with the fact that it was quite challenging for them even to figure out the cost, the production cost of the individual products that they are providing to the automotive industry, precision machine parts. But they were able to solve this by adopting SAP Cloud ERP together with our sustainability footprint management solutions. And with this, they were able not only just to figure out the production cost for each and every product that they are producing, but also the carbon footprint for each and every product that they're selling. And this is definitely a big competitive advantage for them in the global automotive marketplace. But how to get started? One thing that small and medium-sized enterprises could also look at is the SAP Business Networks, which is the largest supply chain collaboration platform in the world with over 6 million companies participating in it. So collaborating through that platform can help companies to raise their operational standards. And also, we provide the possibility through any company really to share their carbon information through an easy-to-use web interface, which is connected to our sustainability data exchange. So in summary, digital transformation goes hand in hand with sustainability transformation and fuels the effective usage of relevant, reliable, and responsible AI applications.
Susanna, thank you so much. It's been fascinating to find out a bit more about the tech and the progress that's being made in this particular area. Thank you for joining us here at Sustainability Live Singapore.